Hi everybody, I hope you guys are having a good day today. Today we're going to talk about some of the trees that you might come across in your backyard. Last class we talked about the common Virginia forest trees that you would find if you live near a forest. So several of you might have found a bunch of those types of trees near your neighborhood. But if you live in a more residential area like I do, you won't come across those types of trees. You'll come across more ornamentals, or trees that were artificially bred in order to take advantage of their beauty and aesthetics, maybe their flowers or their unique leaf structure, in order to be grown in your backyards without causing too much problems in terms of like nuts falling or stuff falling on your house or them being really big. Some of them are even invasive, so some of them we don't really like the fact that they're here in Virginia. So the first one is the flowering dogwood. And the flowering dogwood is going to be the state tree of Virginia. It has an opposite leaf arrangement as part of that mad family. So you can see that its leaves have the leaf venation where it's arcuate, where it curves along the same shape or along with the edge of the leaf margin. It's opposite, so the leaves are opposite of each other, and they have these beautiful flowers in the springtime. This is a native tree in Virginia, so it can be found in our forests as well as in your backyards. Some people have them planted out front and trimmed really short. Other people have them taller like they would be in their native state. Next is the purple leaf plum or sandcherry bush. So the purple leaf plum is a plum. It actually can get plums on it that are edible. They don't taste very good, but they're edible. They have these bright purple plum leaves, and they can also be pruned or grown as a bush, which is called a sandcherry. In the springtime, they have these nice pink flowers. Next is Bradford pear. Bradford pear is an invasive species that has a very, very smelly flower in the spring that's white. The leaves are coarsely toothed, and they have these little really, really hard pears that grow. So these pears are not edible for us. They won't poison you, but they don't taste good. And that's going to be our Bradford pear. Those are found in a lot of places, even though they're an invasive species. Next is Japanese maple, and Japanese maples are a type of maple that was brought in from Japan. It's not invasive because it doesn't grow or overtake other trees or cause economic damage, but they have these very deeply lobed leaf margins, so they cut in real, real deep as compared to our red maple. And a lot of times people have them growing in their yard like this, very short, and the red variety. However, they can be taller, they can be green and red, so their variation is pretty significant with that. You're looking for that leaf shape of those deeply cut in maple lobes, as well as, since it's a maple, it has opposite leaf arrangement. Next is silver maple. Silver maple is also going to have an opposite leaf arrangement. It's usually very, very tall. A lot of times it also has some mistletoe parasitizing it, so clumps of green up in the canopy in the winter time. The back of the leaf is very, very white, so that's where it gets its name of silver maple. So the front is very green, the back is silver or white. The thing about silver maples is that they are pretty prone to breakage. So when they were first they were bred in order to get that pretty color and nice structure, it wasn't realized until after they were grown to maturity that they actually fall and break really easily. The branches break off in storms. So throughout the years, planters have shied away from trying to plant as many silver maples because of that. Next is our eastern redbud. Eastern redbud is native to Virginia. It can be found in our forests as well as in our ornamental varieties. It is a legume, so it has these seed pods that look kind of like beans. In the springtime, it has the bright purpley pink flowers that just kind of look like dots. They're very small, and a lot of times they grow right from the stem, so they don't have a lot of structure to them. The leaf itself looks like a beautiful heart, so the redbud makes a heart-shaped leaf that has a smoother entire leaf margin. Next are ornamental cherries. So ornamental cherries, there's a bunch of different varieties. The ornamental cherry is actually related to the purple leaf plum or other plums. They're all in the Prunus family, which is the same genus. And this genus is characterized by these two warts. So it has wart-like glands at the base of the leaf. And they're very apparent in most of the ornamental varieties. It's not as apparent in a purple leaf plum or the plums, but in these cherries, it's very apparent. So these little bumps. And these are going to be either green or red. So in this case, they're red. On here you can see maybe they're like an orangish color. So right there, there's two of them. So there's all sorts of varieties of cherries. We got the weeping cherry, the sweet cherry, black cherry, ornamental flowering cherry, Bing cherry. There's a million of them. So you can just put ornamental cherry if you find an ornamental cherry that you'd like to include in any of your assignments for this class. Another characteristic of the cherries is they have lenticels on their bark, which are these horizontal lines on their bark. And the bark is usually a pretty bright red color. Now, some of the ornamental varieties, if you look at the lower parts of the bark, they actually don't have these lenticels, and that's because sometimes they're grafted onto apple tree base. So apple trees, crab apples specifically, are much more hardy, so they'll actually sometimes graft the cherry to the top of that so that it's less likely to have disease in its root structure and base of the tree, but then the leaves that grow off of it would be the cherry variety. Next is Tree of Heaven. Tree of Heaven is an invasive species. It grows very, very, very tall and very, very fast. It can be a tall tree or it can be a shrub. And the reason it's called Tree of Heaven is because it actually has been seen growing in New York City. So it's been able to grow in the cracks of pavement, just that small amount of soil, and it was able to grow into a tall tree. So it was said that it was like heaven because it would be a miracle that a tree could grow on pavement. Tree of Heaven has a compound leaf. So you can see this is the leaf here. It's compound. Next is our crepe myrtle. So crepe myrtle has flowers that stay all summer long, and they vary in colors. The tree bark is very unique. It's almost camouflage-like, but more peely than sycamore. The leaves are pretty small, and they have an alternate leaf arrangement. But really, in the middle of the summer, they're not even going to be mixed up with anything, and any other time you can look at their bark to be able to identify them. So crepe myrtle is a very common variety of tree that you would see in your neighborhoods. And lastly, we have the giant magnolia tree. So the giant magnolia tree is native to Virginia. It has big waxy leaves, so the leaves are extremely waxy, and when they fall off, they actually take a very long time to decompose. A lot of times they'll just stay on the surface. And then they have these very large white flowers. And there's several varieties of magnolia that you might find around your areas around Williamsburg or in your neighborhoods. So today, we want you guys to go outside and collect 8 leaves from your yard or neighborhood. Now, if you venture off in your neighborhood, I do want to make sure that you're practicing social distancing, so keep your distance from others. But when you have collected all 8 of your leaves, you're going to bring them inside. So I got to grab one leaf to show you. So you're going to bring all your leaves inside. You're going to grab a piece of paper, and you're going to grab a crayon, works best. But if you don't have a crayon, you can also use a pencil. If you use a pencil, you just need to make sure you don't press down. Instead, you angle the pencil on its side. And you're going to create a rubbing. So to do this, you take your leaf, and you're going to put it underneath the piece of paper. So you're going to put it right under the paper there. And when it's under the paper, You're going to hold it still, like this, and you're going to rub the outline of it. So if you rub your crayon over the leaf, you want to make sure you get all the way to the edges. It's going to leave behind the shape of your leaf. So you can see there is my leaf. And you're going to do that for each of your 8 leaves. Then, next to your rubbing, I want you to write in the name of the tree. So this is a scarlet oak. Then I want you to write down what is the leaf margin. And I've given you kind of the word bank from last class, or a couple classes ago actually, that we did those leaf characteristics. What are the leaf veins? What is the leaf base? So I want you guys to record all 4 of those pieces of information for each of the 8 leaves that you collect today. And then you're going to hand that in to either myself or Miss Elton.